Happy holidays, everyone. Phoebe Rizzo here, talking to the Void once more. And, well, just to be thematic, I thought I'd go with okay, so I'm on the wrong holiday. But given my October was spent on full randomization, I couldn't really pick and choose. And this one just didn't come up during that period. And, well, actually, in all honesty, I thought I'd already reviewed this one. Turned out not to be the case. So I figured this is good enough time as any to get into The House's October build. Now, this is an interesting little film, mostly because it's history. It essentially started out as a documentary. And then, pretty much with all the film that they had for their documentary, they decided that they had enough material to make a horror film out of it. So, a lot of the same scenes that you see in the documentary are reproduced here in the movie, and it essentially becomes kind of a what if they stumbled into something actually horrific. So it's half documentary, half horror film, and it does a decent job at in that role. So, House is October built. It's about a group of 5 friends who all play themselves in this, so that they're using their actual names, since that's what they were doing in the documentary. And as they go around the southern United States looking for the most extreme Halloween haunts that they can find. And they keep hearing rumors about one group in particular that is the most extreme, called the Blue Skeleton. And, well, they begin trying to seek it out, but the more they hunt them down, it's clear that something is also watching them and luring them further into, well, whatever the haunt that the Blue Skeleton is putting on, and whether it's actually dangerous or not. So, it's an entertaining concept, though it's not perfectly executed. Now, the movie itself, it's decently entertaining, but for the first half of it, it does just seem like watching someone's road trip home videos, to be honest. It does help you get to know the characters like that, and the characters are likable, which does really help. But at the same time, it's sometimes a bit like, okay, can we move along? When the movie is just a shred over an hour and a half, that's probably not the best. Also, when they're actually filming inside the haunts themselves, the shaky cam and disorientation factor gets to be a little high. Like, you can't always tell what you're supposed to be looking at. The camera's bouncing around, you can't really see clearly what's going on half the time. I understand that that's the best they could do in those situations, since they're actually just taking a camera through an actual haunted house in the most parts. But again, it's hard to make out everything that's going on. And it's part of it's like, okay, we're on our third haunted house that you were just walking through. Neat, but can we move it along? But when the creepy things start happening, they are definitely decently creepy. Particularly the doll-faced girl there. She is unsettling, and so the best imagery seems to be focused around her. Now, when the group actually gets to the blue skeleton and things seem to be extreme, you're still kind of left wondering whether or not this is something dangerous or just some Halloween fun just taken to the extreme. And it kind of just sort of ends on that point without clearly answering that question. Which, the first time I saw the film, was a bit of a disappointment for me. But there is a sequel, which does actually solve that problem for me, which did move this movie back up in my estimations a little bit. Because I'm okay with an ambiguous ending if it's satisfying. This one just wasn't, because while it's clear something bad is happening, you're still not sure whether or not it's still the open question of whether or not they're in any danger, which can work, but for me it just didn't. Now, like I said, the sequel answering those questions about what it was and then taking it even again to the next level worked for me. So actually, this is one of the rare cases where I do actually prefer the sequel to the original. But the movie itself isn't bad, though its faults do make it a bit harder to recommend too much. So I'd put this one, trying to figure out on my, I've been debating this whole time where on my MacGuffin scale to rate this one, because it is well shot. The makeup is great, especially since it's a lot of the Halloween creatures that are coming after them. The doll face and the Feaster Bunny are particularly good. I've been debating around between 4 and 5, but I think I'll give this one a 5 MacGuffins. It's worth seeing. It's an interesting look at Halloween haunts in general, just using the documentary footage. And if you actually pick up the Blu-ray, it does actually have the documentary right on there, if you're curious, but it is another hour and a half sit, so you'd have to be down for it. I might watch and review that at some point, but I'm not sure. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is really to say about House October Built. It's great to watch around Halloween for the most part. It's the best time to sink into this one. It's a fun Halloween movie, but it doesn't really rise too much above the concept and leaves you kind of scratching your head a bit, which is a bit of a distraction to keep it from raising any higher. I think that's about all I got on this one. Don't actually own the sequel, so it might get a while before I actually get around to actually doing a proper review of that one. But we'll see what happens. Have a good night.